Folks, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the pod. Appreciate you guys all being here. Sorry we're a day late. I'm without a producer this week, exceptionally. I'll be rolling solo like old time's sake. We have a ton to get to this week. Toss a like on this if you're just tuning in now. Subscribe if you're new. That helps us out a great deal. Lots to get to on the show this week. Jose Mourinho was sacked at Roma. And what is the world coming to? I mean, I think a theme of the pod this week is getting old. I'm getting old. The world that I knew is not the world that I'm currently living in. Jose Mourinho gets sacked. That's odd. He didn't used to get sacked. And now it's like inevitable that he will at some point. Jose Mourinho's getting old. And yet he still gaslights fans into successful, to a certain extent. He successfully kind of is able to manipulate them emotionally into loving him. It's interesting. He does just enough to win a little something. He gives them just a little crumb, a conference league. And they love him, and they're sad he's leaving, but they're also kind of happy, the fans at Roma, because they think it's the right time. But they're sad to see him go. It's fascinating. It's unique. It's unlike anything else. And I think he might have it kind of figured out. I'm Sam Adamo, and this is the Bordello. All right, what's going on, folks? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another episode of the Bordello. I'm rolling solo this week. D'Lo is not with us, so a little bit of a throwback to the pre-producer days. I feel like we should almost have the camera turned off for this one. Just feel like fucking just Bill Burr talking to myself for the next hour. That's kind of what this is gonna be. There are a number of things that I've got in the brain here that I've got to kind of get out. It's been an interesting week. Let's start off with Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho was sacked at Roma. He's had a tough go of it. This kind of slipped under the radar for me. They're in 9th place right now in Serie A. Apparently, they're currently with their worst point total in 30 years, I think, or 20 years. Mid-90s or mid-2000s is what I had read. I mean, I guess he had sneakily kind of fallen off the wagon. They lost, I believe, 4 out of 5 Rome derbies, or 3 out of 4 Rome derbies in the last couple of years, which has not boded well. One of the most recent ones just a week ago in the Coppa Italia resulted in a loss. So I guess he was on thin ice, but it felt like he was in a position where he had enough goodwill because of the Conference League shit and the Europa League run they went on last year. And I saw videos of him leaving the training ground at Trigoria in Rome after getting the news that he, I suppose, got sacked, and he was in a passenger seat. He had a driver with him, and a bunch of fans. I never understand how this works, by the way. A bunch of fans were in the parking lot. I don't know how these guys ever get into the parking lot. I don't know if it's public territory or what, but public territory. That's a weird way of wording it. Public territory. Like this is Mohawk land. This is public. This is for the people. This is Mohawk land is actually the opposite of public territory. It's decidedly theirs, from what I've been led to understand from shit I've seen on the internet. I've seen videos of white guys kind of just going to like native reservations being an asshole, and some guy comes over and goes, "You see what it says there? It says reservations, not public land." So I guess it's not public territory, whatever that means. But a bunch of fans, middle of the day, obviously. I'm going to go out on a limb and say these people don't work the night shift, and they're not entrepreneurs who are making their own schedule and working a flexible online gig that pays them in crypto and enables them to do whatever the fuck they want during the day. I'm going to go out on a limb and say these are not those guys. They don't look like young Gen Z tech entrepreneurs. Beards, neck tats, those guys, you know? That's who's there in the middle of the day. Maybe it was their day off. I don't know. Every day's your day off when you're unemployed. That's actually kind of the benefit of being unemployed, I guess. I guess you're not really unemployed if you just give up. Technically, I think that is actually the way that they calculate the labor statistics, is that if you just say, that's it, I'm out. I'm so frustrated with the job search that I'm not even doing this anymore. You're technically somehow not even considered unemployed. If anything, those people should be considered the most unemployed. They're so desperately unemployed that they're not even considered unemployed anymore. They're just on suicide watch, I guess. It's like these guys are so disenfranchised with the system that they're not even part of we don't even count them anymore. We've written them off. We've written them off altogether. They no longer exist. They're hopeless. They will never be back a part of the labor force until they just get enough get up to say, yeah, I'm searching. I think that's how it works, is if you just one little cursory search on Indeed.com, I think you're back in the labor force. So these guys that aren't even in the labor force anymore don't even have the stamina to get on the internet and Google jobs. It's a 3-letter word. 4 letters if it's plural, but... So these potentially unemployed gentlemen, or these potentially disenfranchised and technically not unemployed because they're no longer even in the labor force gentlemen, or self-employed guys, granted, a lot of them, you know what some people in Italy do is they'll just join multi-level marketing, companies. They'll sell like cologne, or they'll join some kind of hustle. Maybe that's what some of these guys do. In some way, that's kind of freeing when you think about it. Those guys are free of any and all social parameters. It's almost kind of admirable. So these guys are waiting for Jose Mourinho to, I guess, bestow him with their love and adoration. And they're all very apologetic. I mean, these Roman guys are all going, "Dai, mister! Dai, mister!" And they're telling him, they don't sound exactly like that. I don't even know what what were they saying? It was, I'll cover the mic here. Grande mister! They always sound like they're yelling. I mean, they kind of were projecting their voice, but it wasn't actually an angry yell. It was more of just the way they communicate in football settings, these intense fans, Roman fans especially, I've noticed, is through kind of always, I don't even know if I would call it yelling, but it's a punctuated, it's a real punchy delivery of the message. Grande mister! It's very gravelly. It's in the back of the throat. So they're doing this, in numbers. They're all calling out to him, and they're saying, "We'll always have Tirana. We'll always have Tirana." Tirana, the capital of Albania, where Mourinho won the Conference League 2 years ago. 2 short years ago in his first season, he won the Conference League in Tirana, Albania. And that is what the Roma fans were chanting out. C'è sempre Tirana, or something like that. There's always Tirana. We'll always have Tirana. Just the trash Roman version of "we'll always have Paris" from Casablanca. I think that's what the line is. It's either "we'll always have Casablanca" or I think "we'll always have Paris." Humphrey Bogart says, who I think in that movie, I've never seen it actually, I should. I cannot proclaim myself to be a fan of cinema if I haven't seen Casablanca, I guess. It's just real. It's so tough, though. The problem with these old fucking movies is these movies from, I guess, the 50s and prior. Arguably even the 60s and everything that came before it. With The Godfather in 1970 kind of having changed the landscape. Which is right when Scorsese was coming into, I guess, his first few illustrious projects and began shaping cinema. Right before Mean Streets. I'd say right up to almost 1970 in some respects. American cinema was unbearable. I mean, Italian cinema was not. I actually love Italian cinema from that period. The neo-realist period from after World War II in Rome is some of the best cinema that's ever been made. Fellini, De Sica, Bicycle Thieves, or Ladri di Biciclette, as it is officially entitled, also sometimes called The Bicycle Thief, but that's a mistake. It's usually correctly translated to Bicycle Thieves. I get a bit nerdy about this sort of thing, but I don't really think I can play that card and say I'm a cinema nerd if I don't, if I don't have Casablanca, if I don't boast Casablanca on my kill list of movies I've ticked off. The problem is with a lot of movies that are supposed to be good that you haven't seen is the list just gets so long. You don't watch Barbie. I think Oppenheimer, which I haven't seen, is interesting. I would like to see it, but it's almost like even that isn't worth watching. I get that it's part of contemporary, culture to watch the movies that are out now, but my girlfriend watched Barbie on the plane. She gave me an executive summary. I mean, it just sounds awful. And I know that's like low-hanging fruit for me as a guy on this pod talking to a bunch of probably dudes that are listening to this. I know that this is kind of an echo chamber and you guys are going to agree with me. So this isn't like a scintillating take, but it really does sound like a garbage movie. Like the premise sounds so simplistic and it's basically like, hey man, why do men always be running the world and shit? Why can't it be women? I don't know why I did it black there or Puerto Rican, but that was I for some reason I think doing it in a New Yorican accent kind of like simplifies and stupefies, dumbs down the point, because it really is that simple. So it's like, I don't know, instead of watching new cinema, just watch old stuff. Watch Fight Club if you haven't seen it. Watch The Shawshank Redemption. Watch all of Scorsese and Tarantino's movies. Whatever. But old cinema is just bad, bro. Like, speaking of newer movies that suck, I tried watching Maestro with my parents one evening last week on the weekend, and it's this Bradley Cooper movie in black and white. I think the movie might actually, as time passes and it comes into like the color era when movies and TV were in color, I think the movie actually shifts to color. It's like an interesting editing choice they made, but I didn't make it to that point. I tapped out after 20 minutes. I couldn't make it. And it's not just because, I found the premise to be kind of annoying. It's like, okay, I get it. He's gay and he's gonna marry a woman, Could kind of already see where this is going. There's a duality to his existence. He's a gay man who, wakes up in the morning and he slaps a guy's ass that's a real scene that happens early on in the movie. And I guess there's that side to him, and then there's the other side, which is like, I'm trying to get married and settle down here and be, a respected member of society. I don't really know. I didn't make it far into the movie because I tapped out. I mean, also, listen, when one of the first scenes is a man getting out of bed and slapping another man on the ass, it's not going to do it for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a sexist pig who likes to see, listen, for some reason, when Margot Robbie gets her ass slapped by Leo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street, it doesn't skeeve me. But if I see Bradley Cooper do it in the 50s, you just kind of go, all right, well, where is this going? I mean, if it's done tastefully, I guess it could work. But if it's, I don't know. It's kind of this thing where would you just as a dude, it's I don't care what you do in your life. God love you. But it's like, I don't, I don't fuck dudes up their butts. So when I see it happening in movies, it's kind of like, oh, this isn't, tasteful to me. Maybe, lesbian women see a heterosexual couple making out and maybe they're revolted by it, for all I know. I don't really know. But again, but I don't think that's why the movie didn't do it for me. Here's what really took me out of it. And here's my larger point here. Okay, because I'm getting off on a fucking crazy tangent here. The reason I got taken out of that movie, the reason I got taken out of Maestro is because they're talking like it's the 1940s. But in realistic movies, in my opinion, they talk normally that are set in the 1940s. So if a movie's set in 1940, like The Godfather is a good example. It takes place in 1945, and they speak normally. In Maestro, it's like 1939, 1940, whatever. It's like World War II era, and they don't speak normally. They're talking a little like this, You see, last week on the pod, we were discussing the transatlantic accent in movies in like the 50s and the 40s and the 30s. People kind of talked in this theatric way, you see. And it's like they talked as if they were performing in theater. They speak in a theatrical way, and it's not realistic. And for some reason, they kind of had a little bit of that twang to it. The way they were performing, the actors, it just felt a little off. So I quit. I quit that movie, man. And I find a lot of old movies, just take me out of it because the dialogue doesn't feel realistic. It feels too performative, But anyway, Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca is like this older guy who's like going after some, I think, barely legal chick. And, I guess for some reason it was cool at the time. I mean, based, I guess. He's fucking based going after like a 21-year-old college chick. He's this like old, depressed, like, middle-aged guy who probably can't even get his dick up anymore. I think that's the premise of the movie. I think that might actually be the premise of Casablanca. I'm not sure. But I do know that one line, we'll always have Paris. And the Roman fans called out, we'll always have Tirana. And I guess in some way that's kind of a fitting indictment on where Mourinho's career is at. And I do not want to go after him on a pod that not a lot of people listen to because it looks weird. It's like, who the fuck is this guy criticizing one of the greatest coaches ever? I won't do that. But let's call a spade a spade. It's been a weird couple of years for him. It's been a weird decade. Can I say that? He's not really, I think, any longer one of the best coaches in the world. I think I could say that, but yet he's still one of the most respected ones. And he does, I guess, have a better track record than a lot of other coaches. And I know that's a weird bar to set, but you have to realize a lot of coaches go through their entire careers and they don't win anything, man. I mean, like Sam Allardyce, for example, or like a Gianpiero Ventura. I mean, I guess a lot of these guys might win in lower divisions to get promoted, but at a certain point, once they get to the top level, these guys are just clinging on for dear life, a few months at a time, bouncing around. Who was that guy? Beppe Iacchini, the guy who wore the cap? Who would like flip-flop between coaching Udinese and Palermo. I mean, he was just clinging on for dear life in the top flight. When you get to managing at the top levels of football, most top levels of any sport for that matter, they're not winning. Most coaches aren't winning. So I guess we should, I guess for lack of a better word, respect should be put on Mourinho's name, and you do need to know who you're talking about. He is still one of the guys, but I am Jose Mourinho. That is I am Jose Mourinho, is winning a third-tier European title and saying, I have now won the trifecta. I've won the Europa League, the Champions League, and the Conference League. I haven't won a Champions League in, a decade and a half, but I am the special one still because I won the other two, you see. I've won the big one. Now I'm working my way down. It's based as fuck, dude. That's I am Jose Mourinho. That's that meme. That meme, I am Jose Mourinho, which is basically I'm using my big boy brain. That's what that meme is. I'm using higher learning or higher thinking, I guess, Actually, the implication is maybe you're not a person who is of a higher learning background, but I am Jose Mourinho. I make it work. That's kind of the thing. That's kind of what that whole meme is. In some ways, it feels like he's done that. He had that one night in Tirana, and now he's revered by these fans. I do feel bad for that one, but not really. But I do kind of feel bad for that one. I do, but I don't. But there's this one kid who just signed for Roma, some defender, some Dutch guy from Juve. Dean, I'm going to fucking butcher his name. I think it's Dean Huijsen. And he, I think, played 2 games under Mourinho. I think he played the derby, lost, played 1 game of the weekend, and that was it. And when he signed for them on loan, which was kind of surprising to a lot of people, he's an 18-year-old kid, and he had options to go to smaller clubs that I guess he would have been guaranteed playing time at. But apparently he spoke to Mourinho, and Mourinho convinced him to come. And he said, when Mourinho calls, you answer. So, I mean, I guess in some way that's a good encapsulation of Mourinho now. Players love him, I think. Players respect him. Players want to play for him. But then in practice, it doesn't always necessarily pan out in the way that things used to. You get there, and he's gone within a couple of games. Sacked. It used to be a given that he would never get sacked at any job he was at. You know, what's next for him? I don't know. Who cares? I mean, he'll always find work. I don't think he'll go fuck off to Saudi Arabia quite yet, because I think he loves the game too much. I think he's too much of a psycho. I think he probably wants to stick around at the top levels. So you could probably see him managing another interesting project soon. Has he managed in Germany? I don't believe he has. Maybe he would go to like coach, a Marseille or something. I don't want to write off Fabio Grosso at Lyon or Gennaro Gattuso at Marseille. Is fucking Grosso still at Lyon, or is he sacked? I think he might have got sacked. But I feel like, I don't know. For some reason, Gennaro Gattuso just doesn't have the seal of approval from me, I should say. Or he doesn't have my cosign, I guess. Not that he fucking wants it. Funnily enough, I mean, maybe I could tell him to his face. He actually has relatives in the East End of Montreal. And I think he sometimes goes and has, sometimes, like he does it multiple times. I think he once went over for lunch at a fucking guy's house in St. Leonard in the fucking Italian neighborhood in Montreal. I don't know why or how that happened, but it's like part of Montreal Italian lore that this one time Gennaro Gattuso went to some guy's house in St. Leonard for lunch. but I mean, obviously I love the guy, but I think he's had an okay go of it at Marseille since he took over, but it feels like anywhere he goes isn't really, I guess he just hasn't really put it together yet. So you feel like he won't be at a club for like 5 years, say, right? And leave his stamp. Most coaches don't, to be fair. I'm bringing that up because I think that Marseille might be a club that Mourinho would love to coach. But, they have a guy who's gainfully employed. Yeah, so Lyon currently do not have Fabio Grosso as coach. He was relieved of his duties. Well, yeah, like maybe a larger club in France I might be able to see him at. How much lower does it go for him, right? If he goes back to England, what's he going to do? Manage Everton? Like Ancelotti did? We wish him the best, I suppose. But he's still the guy. I mean, he's a bro, man. He's the man. He's still the man because anywhere he goes, he just spin zones everything. He's still the best at forming his own narrative, and I think he did that. He created his own story, He's added to his lore in Italian football, I think, to an extent. So, see where he winds up. I don't know. Maybe he'll take time off. That's kind of the thing with these guys is they don't really need the money. So maybe he'll just hold off until big club winds up firing their coach, and then he's just inevitably in the conversation, But again, I mean, it's kind of been like steps down, respectfully, to Roma. Like, it's just been steps down, job after job, incrementally, yet always interesting. Always interesting. Rome is a great city. Roma's an interesting club for that reason. It's the biggest club, I think, in the city of Rome, and, the biggest city in the country. One of the more popular clubs in the country. I mean, it makes sense that he would have taken over there, I guess, to a certain extent, but I mean, it would have felt crazy 10 years ago, right? See where he winds up next. But I mean, yeah, he's fuck, man. Where does he wind up going? Does he come to MLS or something? Does he come to coach against Messi just to be his foil to ruin his retirement party? I don't know. I was at my grandfather's the other day. Just in personal news, some fun observations from the last week that I need to share here. Man, so my grandfather last week lives alone, and my grandfather lives alone, and last week my mother tried calling him, and he wasn't picking up. The phone was off the hook. It's a thing that happens sometimes where I'll call him, and he'll go, basically, yeah, bro, I don't hear you. Give me a sec, and he'll swap phones. And as he's doing that, one phone's off the hook, and then he hangs up the call on the phone he's using, and the other phone, the first one that he picked up on, stays off the hook. And his voicemail is full. There's no way of getting through to him. He doesn't know how to use his cell phone, God forbid. So we don't hear from him for a day. We got to check to see that the guy has a pulse. So I get sent there thinking, probably fine, but there's a chance he's dead. So I get to his street, and I think, well, at this point, it's been hours. I'm not going to save him now. If he's dead, he's dead. I'll play one last song. And I actually did that. I consciously, as I turned on the street, was like, fuck it, dude. I think the song I was listening to sucked, and I was like, bro, if I'm about to discover my grandfather dead on the floor right now, if I'm about to fucking have my whole year ruined in January, I just got, I gotta play something more pleasant on the ear. So, I mean, he was not dead. He's still alive, but, I mean, he's what should I say? It's just an interesting thing where, like, my goal there was to, I mean, I kind of did it under the guise of checking on him, but I ring the doorbell. First of all, he goes, "Who is it?" He kind of comes down, and he doesn't sound that way, but he goes, "Who is it?" He tries to, like, put on the most, like, menacing voice possible. It's quite amusing because he lives alone, poor guy, right? It makes sense. But he kind of, you know, his goal when the doorbell rings, right, you know, in the middle of the day, is, I guess, to ward off any and all potential, I guess, just daytime burglars, whatever. I don't know. It's just, he comes kind of, you know, to the entrance, and he tries to sound as menacing as possible. So I go, "What are you doing?" "It's me. Fucking open up," right? And he opens it up, and he goes, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I tell him, you know, I just kind of wanted to check in. I was running errands in the area. Really, right there and then, just the fact that he didn't even have to open the door. When I hear, "Who is it?" I'm like, all right, we're good. You know, I could just tell him, "Hey, put your phone back on the hook." Don't even have to come to the door. You know, he has a pulse. I'm good, you know? I mean, I'm not a fucking sociopath. I mean, like, I want to see him. I came in and I hung out for a bit, but it's just funny. Like, he's like, "What are you doing here?" I couldn't say, "I just wanted to check that you have a pulse." He would have gotten offended, you know? He would have said, "My God, you know, what do you guys think I'm fucking, you know, what do you guys think I'm getting up to? You know, what do we live in a police state? You're coming to check in on me to make sure I'm all right? Like, am I good? You know, coming to fucking knock on my door?" I mean, how intrusive, right? That's the thing with these guys, man. When they get to a certain age, like, they kind of want to feel, like, loved and cared for. And if you don't call them, they're like, "Yeah, no one's calling me." But if you come to their door, then they'll be like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" You know, I value my privacy. Thank you very much. You know, he wasn't that hostile, but that's kind of the, I don't know, that's kind of what I thought, is I got to have a story in case, like, what if he's like, you know, "What the hell are you doing here out of the blue?" That's the thing he always says is, "You're busy. You know, you're busy. I don't want you here." If I show up, he's not thinking, "Well, Sam's obviously free, hence why he's here." He's like, "Shit, Sam's busy. What are you doing here? You probably got shit to do. What are you doing talking to an old man?" Anyway. But fuck man, like, when they get to a certain age, I mean, it's just the stories, man, the fucking stories. It's getting to a point now where I have a theory that, like, since old people are living to be older now, since medicine has advanced, we're just gonna, it's not even a theory. I think this is actually just a spot on observation. Now that old people are able to benefit from advancements in medicine, I believe that they'll continue to live longer, and we'll start seeing the frontier change. I think we'll start seeing, there will be a new frontier, I believe, of insane things that we'll see old people do, because they'll just keep getting older and older, and so they'll kind of just get a little slower and slower, and they'll say things that are just wilder and wilder. And I'm not saying that they'll just say the N-word or, you know, drop a slur. I'm not talking about that. Fuck that. That's you know, I have friends who use slurs. You know what I mean? You don't have to be old to say a slur. I'm saying that as they age and as they, you know, continue to get older and are kept alive, there will be more people pushing 100 who are just kind of unfiltered and kind of like talking like autistic children almost. Yeah, like, look, let me give you an example. Okay? I have an uncle who turned 88 years old last week. On the weekend, we went out for dinner. It was not an especially fine dining establishment, but the point was to be together. Just for context, I showed up. My cousin was there in a PSG track top. You know what I'm saying? One of those. I'm dressed up. My girlfriend's got a face of makeup on. My fucking cousin's there. Well, I love him. My cousin's there in a PSG top. He's there in a fucking Air Jordan top. And he was like one of the better dressed guys there. Long table, can't socialize with anyone. Fucking showed up late at 9 o'clock because I had to pick up Paula at the airport. And the kitchen was closed. 8:55, the kitchen was closed. So I had fucking I had a tea for dinner and a piece of cake. Anyway, so just I feel like older guys now, older men, especially, I think women are just better listeners generally, I guess. I think this thing I'm about to point out here can be attributed more to old men, okay? But they just can't retain any information about your life. They'll always ask you questions. My grandfather forgets that my brother doesn't like tomatoes. My brother has what he calls a sensory aversion to tomato. My brother's allergic to egg. Maybe I shouldn't reveal what his kryptonite is. I don't know. You shouldn't reveal your weaknesses. What? You fucking, in case anyone wants to take my family down. You just fucking, someone wants to kill my brother. just slip him some albumin in a dessert. My brother's allergic to egg. He's talked about how he'd rather have a poached egg than a plate of tomato salad, which he has a sensory aversion to, but not an allergy to. And he has literally told waiters that before. He's like, I'm allergic to eggs. And my brother, I should actually get him on the pod to talk about this. It pisses me off so much. My brother's crazy. My brother is allergic to egg, and he'll tell waiters in a restaurant, just a heads up, I'm allergic to egg. Also, I hate tomatoes. So if there's any egg or tomato, I can't eat this dish. And the waiters will be like, are you allergic to tomatoes? And I tell him, just say yes. Say, I'm allergic to eggs and tomatoes. My brother has, I'm paraphrasing him here, but he has said to waiters before, no, I'm not allergic to tomatoes, but I'd rather have egg than tomato. So it's like, so then you're giving them like this weird fucked up priority list where now the egg will kill you, but you'll kick up more of a storm if there's tomatoes. So if given the choice, they're going to send you out with the egg, with the egg, or I don't know. They're going to pay more attention in the kitchen to the tomato, and there's going to be a blind spot where there could be egg cross-contamination. It's just, it's crazy. But, so my brother, who's 23 years old, does not eat tomatoes. He's a baby about it. My grandfather, anytime we're having tomatoes on the table, he'll go, Mikey, why don't you eat tomatoes? Why don't you eat it? It's like he forgets. He's like, Mikey, you're not eating tomatoes? And he's like, no, I don't eat it. I never have. It's just interesting. The only thing they can remember is the allergy. What's your brother studying again? What's your girlfriend studying again? You know how many times I get asked what's she studying? Sam, what is it you do what is it you make money with now? Because it's like if they don't have a title, that is a problem now that maybe we are posing for them. Because we, and by we I mean Gen Z people, young people my age, young adults now, I guess are just like so averse to being put in a box or saying, I'm an accountant. I studied accounting and I am an accountant. I guess because so many more people are, rejecting a specific title in favor of, I don't know, being fluid in their career and having these bullshit job titles that basically don't imply what the hell the job actually is. It's confusing for grandparents that mean well and that want to know about their grandchildren's lives, but cannot for the life of them comprehend what a client success manager is. You know what I mean? So, for the goal for a grandfather, I think, is to just say, my grandson is a lawyer. My granddaughter's a doctor. And, we can't really do that anymore, Sam, how do you, so this comedy, when do you get paid with it? Sam, I don't really understand your online business that you do. Like, it's a lot of that. And I can only explain it so far. There are certain things that are beyond the bandwidth of what they can really compute, right? Like explaining dropshipping or cryptocurrency to a grandparent. Good luck, obviously. So, but no, I'm pretty sure. I don't think this is a stretch. She might be listening to this right now and pulling her hair out, but I'm pretty sure I've heard my girlfriend's grandparents ask her, their own grandchild, what are you studying again? Remind me what you're studying. When are you going to be done? When are you finishing When are you finishing? When are you getting your certification? When is it happening? When are you graduating? You know how many times my girlfriend has been asked, when are you graduating? It's been how long? She's doing a second degree. The whole background with her, she did one degree, she's doing another. They can't comprehend that she's doing another degree. They're like, wait, but your sister graduated. You're saying you did one degree. Well, why do you not have the picture like your sister? And she's like, well, I didn't declare. But my God, they don't know what declaration of graduation is, right? So it's impossible. It's impossible. You know how many times my girlfriend's uncle has asked me where my dad's family is from in Calabria? They're from 30 minutes away. I give the town name. It's like, dude, see, you don't know the town. Every time I see you, we go over this. It's like if the guy gets a little hammered, he'll just be like, tu sei di figli in Vegliatur? Dove si trova? Dove si trova? And actually, what I just said is bullshit. He won't name the town. I just named the town in that example. He'll ask where I am, and then I'll say the town. Figli in Vegliatur. Figli in Vegliatur, sì. And he'll go, dove si trova? And I'm like, in the same province as your town. We've been over this, you know? I've been around 6 years. I've known this man for 5.5 years. And every time I bring it up, it's met with this stern look. Oh, okay. The eyebrows kind of crinkle a little bit. Yeah. Oh, okay. Fucking you. Wait, Dina, you hearing this? Whatever his wife's name is. You know, it's not Dina, but I'm giving an alias. I don't know why anyone cares. I just feel like I shouldn't be. I don't know why I feel like I shouldn't be dropping real family's name on the pod. Like anyone gives a fuck. But these immigrants on a pension, like they're on a watch list. But you know, by the way, it's not Dina. But the funny thing is, none of the listeners who are tuning into this know this. But I just changed one letter of his wife's actual name. It's not Dina, but it's something that sounds like it. So whatever. Yeah. So. Oh my God. Or just what's the relation to this person? That's another good one. That's another good one with older immigrants too. Is wait, so hang on. Whoa. Let me get this straight. You're telling me that my brother-in-law lives on the same street as your grandfather? Get the fuck, hang on. So your uncle is my brother-in-law's godson? There's a lot of that. It's so I have an uncle. I'm at my uncle's 88th birthday party on the weekend. We're there for dinner. His older brother's there. Is he younger? I'm trying to think. How old is fucking Ernesto? Jesus Christ. His brother, who's at least 85 years old, is who speaks English well. So I'm actually quoting directly here. Sometimes I say what an older person said in English because this is an English podcast, but that's not a direct quote. I'm paraphrasing and translating in this case. My uncle's brother, who's also my uncle. I don't know why I'm overcomplicating this. Jesus Christ, this is fucking all over the map here. Okay, back up. I'm at a dinner for my uncle's birthday. My other uncle is there. He's at least 85 years old. That uncle lives on the same street as my girlfriend's grandparents. We're aware of this. This has been long established. We're having a conversation with my uncle about my girlfriend's grandfather, who's an old man, a considerably older man than who himself is an old man. And it's like at a certain point, they just lose the ability. When I say they kind of have no filter and they let it fly, here's what I mean. My 85-year-old uncle tells my girlfriend, whose grandfather he is neighbors with, yeah, you know, I don't know, your grandfather there, I think, he's probably got a little bit of a dementia now, like he's probably got. It's like, what? Like, you can't just tell. First of all, even if that's true, it's not. It's decidedly not. I've met the man. He's in his 90s. He's sharp as a tack. Respectfully, he's, not the most mobile, but he's all there upstairs. But, even if it were true, just the boldness to say to the poor guy's granddaughter, yeah, I'm neighbors with your grandfather. I think he's a little, he's not all there no more. I think he's probably got a little bit of dementia. And then my girlfriend's saying, it's hard. He's an older man now. He's not really able to drive as much as he used to. It's hard when it, gets cold out. It's icy. He doesn't want to go outside. He's kind of like cooped up at home. It's tough, I think my uncle responds, yeah, he's an old man, he's probably going to die in his bed soon, maybe this year. It's like, where is this coming from? And the funny thing is, this uncle I'm referring to is normally pretty dialed in. Like, he golfs, but just, I don't know what's going on. It's he just kind of, he's losing it, I guess. And yet he's not. If you have a conversation with him, he's still all there. But sometimes he just, I don't know, he's speaking with a frankness now that is unnecessary, I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know. My other grandfather, my God, dude, got a fraud call in the last year from a guy speaking Italian. I got two grandfathers that are currently living. One speaks English quite well. He's been here a long time. He likes the 49ers, and he's been here 70 years this year. So a long time. He came when he was a young man. My other grandfather came when he was a little older, and does not speak English. Just for all intents and purposes, doesn't speak English at all. So the way that these grandfather scams work is someone will call up a random grandparent, claim that claim to be a relative who's in distress, got arrested, got a Dewey, whatever, and desperately needs money. That's the way these things work. We've all heard about them. Fine. My grandfather, who doesn't speak English, I think is impervious to any grandfather scam because he doesn't even understand the fucking language. So if somebody calls him up and says, Mr. Adamo, hi, or if someone calls him up and says, Grandpa, it's Sam, I'm in real trouble, I'm in jail, he'll be like, Makie. He doesn't understand. He'll be like, what, Sam? Why are you speaking to me in English? You know what I mean? So it wouldn't work on him. Dude, he got a call this year, a few months ago, from a guy speaking Italian. Claiming to be my cousin. Now, here's the thing. My cousin doesn't speak English. The cousin who he was posing as doesn't speak Italian that well. He can kind of like hold his own and he can kind of understand what is being said to him by his grandparents, but he's not able to go on a long convoluted sentence saying, hey, no, I'm in shit. I need money desperately. My roommate got into a car accident. He needs to get bailed out of jail. My cousin is not able to say that in the Italian language. My grandfather hears this fucking stranger on the phone saying, yeah, it's me, your grandson. It's Gabriel. I'm in real shit. But he's speaking Italian to my grandfather. My grandfather falls for it, hook, line, and sinker, except he goes, hey, Gab, you got to talk to your uncle. He's the one who manages my money. And then my dad and my uncles and my aunt, they're like giving my grandfather a pat on the back. They're saying, hai fatto bravo, pa. Yeah, it's good. You don't give him nothing. My grandfather was kind of there like, oh, okay, thank you. All right. Meanwhile, he fucking fell for a hook, line, and sinker. He was just conveniently like, I don't know. Listen, man, you're out of luck. Give him an fault. Sorry, you got to talk to somebody else. Like, so we gave him like praise. We lauded praise on him and said, hey, you did a good job warding off that guy. My grandfather fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, dude. Which is scary. Like, it's funny, but it's scary. And we had to tell him, hey, if anyone asks for money, you hang up. I have a buddy who's telling me that they've literally coached their grandparents to anytime anyone even brings up money on the phone, you hang up immediately. To the point that it's actually caused issues. To the point that it's actually caused a fucking problem. Where like people from like the life insurance company have called, like needing critical information, and they just hear fucking money, boom, hang up immediately. To the point that like these people then have to hunt down, other family members to say, yeah, listen, we've been trying to call your dad for like 2 weeks and he keeps hanging up on us and telling us to go fuck ourselves, calling us a donkey, But it's unfortunate, man. It's a real thing that a lot of these cocksuckers have to go through. It's not fun. I mean, I don't know how persuasive it would be if they called me, for instance. I don't know how much I believe that they, can actually doctor voices to sound like a random civilian. I'm sure it's hypothetically possible, but I don't know if they're deploying that tech, on cold calls. I think they're just calling until they get someone who's sufficiently, bamboozled that he'll go along with it. But I mean, what was I going to say? Fuck. Jesus Christ. I gonna have to go back in the tape? Fuck, dude. It's like I smoked a blunt. What the fuck was I saying? God damn it. Fucking calling a relative. Fuck it, I'm going back in the tape. Okay, right. I mean, these grandparent scams are no joke. I do think that a lot of these guys are aware of it, and I think they're kind of on edge, right? I think older people are aware that it could happen, but it's gotten to a point now where like sometimes I'll call my grandfather, and because his hearing isn't great, I'll be on the phone with him and I'll be like, "Hey, no, it's me," and he doesn't hear me, and he goes, "Hello," and I'm like, "No, sono io, sono Samuel, gosh, but it's me," you know, and I guess he doesn't hear me, right? So he thinks, "Fuck, it's some guy up to no good," and I've heard my grandfather just kind of mutter under his breath, "You skunk." And he fucking hangs up the phone. Like, they're just on guard all the time, you know? I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean, fuck, man. These grandparent scams, I think, wouldn't work in the hood, though. They only work if, like, at least in Montreal, probably the case in any Italian neighborhood, actually. I don't know that a lot of immigrants are as susceptible to it, because if they're in an immigrant neighborhood where a bunch of their neighbors are all immigrants, typically what these old people will do is they'll just watch the block constantly. Bro, they got eyes on the block all the time. They're always looking out the window. They're always minding everyone else's business. They're going out to the edge of the driveway and just kind of peering around, seeing who's crossing the street, not saying anything to people, frowning, just kind of like taking info in, dude. Old Greek grandmothers, old Italian grandmothers, same thing, dude. So I feel like if a grandfather scam was going on there and someone had to go to the door to collect the cash, I mean, you know, they would have a description for the cops in, 2 seconds flat. Absolutely. The problem would actually be to pry the information out of the neighbor who was the victim of the crime. So suppose I'm a nosy fucking ficanaz immigrant grandmother. I'm looking at what's going on the street 8 hours of the day. I see that a guy, let's say for simplicity's sake, it's a black man, okay? Goes up to my neighbor's door. I see it happen. There's a handoff. Black guy leaves. Because I'm a racist old grandmother, I see a black guy and I think, black guy, that's sus. And she fucking gets the plate, writes it down for no reason, because she's racist. It might have been an Uber Eats delivery guy, but she's got the info anyway. Bro, I moved into one of those neighborhoods and just started ordering Uber Eats. the number of fucking just hardworking men who would have their info just on someone's list posted up on the fridge. I'd be the only guy ordering Uber Eats. None of them would know what it is. They would just think I'm up to no good and that I'm a drug dealer, probably. All the other immigrant moms, grandmothers on the street, But again, picture this. I got the plate, okay? Black guy, handoff, money, cash is exchanged at the door. You're not going to call the cops unless you find out that the guy was the victim of a crime. And that guy, being an immigrant himself, in this case, an old Italian man himself, let's say, he's going to be too proud to admit that he got punked. So he won't admit it to anyone. So that's maybe the only way that it would work, is like the gap in information and the inability to share. But it's, so it's like on one side, you have the nosy neighbor who was actually able to kind of intervene, didn't, but has the information on hand if need be, and would be able to help solve the case if only they just shared it. But you see, on the other side, the guy who was the victim of the crime shuts up about it and tells all the fucking neighbors, "Fai cazzi tuoi." So, because he himself is a nosy neighbor, but his issue with everyone else is that they're fucking nosy. You get it? These fucking neighbors are all fucking prying all the time. Not like me, not like my wife, right? Fucking all they do is talk about everyone else, and then they're just like worried that people are like, spying on them. Yeah, man. I mean, it's no fucking joke, man. Those grandfather scams are no joke. But I think the real solution is like, just honestly, you should just tell your grandparents if anyone speaks English on the phone, just hang up. You should tell your immigrant grandparents, don't even bother. Like, if you're not comfortable talking to this person, just assume that, listen, you ain't getting probed. for anything. You're not getting, called before some kind of hearing in the Senate. You're not getting served. You're not getting served a fucking, what's the term? When you get fucking subpoenaed. You're not getting subpoenaed, dude. You just live your life, eat grapes, eat almonds, go out in peace. Don't worry about it. You need to fucking talk on the phone. Don't talk on the phone unless you're calling someone. That should be the fucking rule. These guys all love nuts, too. You ever notice that? My grandfather's got a colonoscopy next week, and I hear him on the phone with my mom. Dude, my mom is saying on the phone, I just hear my mom's side of the conversation, but I can imagine how it's going. I'm in the house, and my mom's going, you can't have nuts. You can eat anything, but you can't have nuts anymore because of the colonoscopy. Goes quiet. Then she goes, well, don't eat the nuts that are on the island. So my grandfather's like, well, what am I going to do? I got all these nuts. I got almonds. I got cashews. I got peanuts. I got all these nuts. What am I going to do? I can't eat these nuts. I got all these nuts. My mom's like, well, don't eat them. She's like, you can't eat the nuts. He's like, well, I just bought a bunch. I got a whole bowl here. What am I going to do with them? You come take them. That's the thing. You come take the food. The shit that I can't have. I mean, I guess it comes from a good place also. It is endearing. But it's like, dude, my grandfather will call sometimes. Oh my God, dude, he once fucking called me. I'm misremembering this, but I just remember the punchline basically being this one time he called me and he wasn't really saying a lot, but he goes, I got beans, I got fresh beans, I got beans, I got string beans. I think I might have said that on the pod once before. Fuck, dude. He's calling me saying, I got beans, I'm overwhelmed, I got string beans, I got to get rid of these string beans. Like, must be easy. Must be nice, dude, at a certain point. Just eating nuts, drinking wine, and telling people to fuck off on the phone. Spying on your neighbors. Just watching football. Just living in a house watching the value appreciate slowly. Thinking it was all worth something. All the work, coming here not knowing a fucking, not knowing the language, not knowing what it looked like. You ever think about how crazy it is? You would just go halfway across the world and you didn't even know what it looked like. I was talking with a comic here, an older comic, who was telling me that he would have loved to have been a travel agent in the 80s. And it makes complete sense, dude. You think about how easy that job is, because your job is to just sell people a dream. And they can't verify it. They can't go on Yelp. They can't go on Google. You just got to say, St. Bart's. Point on a map. Show a postcard. Looks good, doesn't it? We got a deal. You'll be there in 6 hours. St. Bart's. Go. Have a good time. Don't let the fucking door hit you on the way out. Just the idea of traveling back in the day actually meant something, You couldn't watch something on 4K in YouTube. Fucking how old am I? On YouTube. On the internet. In the internet, bro. Watching things in the internet. When VR becomes, I don't know, real. When virtual reality is just like actually permeating your brain and you're able to experience it kind of like a dream. Whatever senses you're going through, it's over then, man. It's fucking over. There's going to be no point to travel. You just shut your eyes. You don't even have to leave your house, dude. You won't even have to leave your house to marry someone, dude. Just ship your sperm in a jar. Someone will inseminate her, I don't know, via syringe. And you could be virtual partners in this weird world. And the kids will be hooked up in a pod. And you'll all be on different continents, but you'll all be somehow a family. I don't know. Because you'll all be living this weird, shared consciousness. Fuck. The age of consent's going to be lowered to, 7. Kids are all going to be fucking having sex at 6 because they're going to say 6 is a little too soon. But, once you get to grade 1, it's fucking time to fucking let them fly. Because a kid's going to strip down naked and say, I don't know, going to repeat something. Some kid who's going to have gotten, sexually assaulted by a parent or something or by an uncle is going to, just strip down naked and repeat something they heard. People are going to be like, oh, well, I think we should listen to them. They're obviously a very tuned-in sexual creature. They're not going to ask questions and say, Maybe we should get child services involved. Maybe we should fucking, send this kid to a psychiatrist. Get to the bottom of what's happening. They'll say, well, she may be 7, but she's got her pussy out and she's talking about, she's talking about a penis in her mouth. That shouldn't scare us. That should actually make us think, well, maybe she wants it. Let's let her do it with other 7-year-olds. And that's where the world's going, dude. I think that is, listen, I don't think that'll happen because I do think people will revolt. But what if the revolt, fails? And then just, the evil people that rule the world, I don't know, just fucking wipe out all of rural country, all the people that would fight back for, just common sense. What if you could just poison them with a real plague? Not like COVID, I don't know, just get the mosquitoes to bite them and they just fucking develop an aversion to meat. I don't know, send them in the water that turns the frogs gay, dude. They fucking stop procreating. They all become impotent. You need a permit to procreate, and part of it is part of the deal to get the permit is you got to agree to all these fucked up rules. I don't know, dude. In some ways, I think what the hell's the world going to look like when I'm my grandfather's age? If I should be so lucky, Fuck, man. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, before we wrap this up, I'd be remiss if I don't talk about the sewer Jews. The Jews in the sewers. This is old news now. I wanted to talk about it last week, and I know everyone's fucking talked about it, but dude, this video of the fucking the Hasidic Jews in New York and Brooklyn who I think were building tunnels under their synagogue so that they could sneak in. That's the story that, we're being fed. Is that during COVID in 2020 when religious gatherings were no longer permitted, these guys built tunnels under their synagogue so they could just, attend service. I heard that apparently there were tunnels linking the men's and women's section, which, that's based. That's rich. But, just have these fucking Shlomo crawling through the tunnels at night just to suck on those sweet fucking Jew milkers. But, dude, you're going to tell me that these fucking people rule the world? Here's the thing. These people, when you look at the footage of the guys in the synagogue throwing pews, kicking up a shitstorm, those guys are not ruling the world. Come on, dude. You're going to tell me, bro, they got tunnels under the synagogue, dude. They got tunnels under the synagogue. We got to watch out. It's no. These guys are not who you got to worry about. They're not who you got to worry about. They're living in their own little bubble, just kind of doing whatever weird sus stuff they do because they're in their own little isolated communities. I think a lot of the Reform Jews, who for lack of a better word we'll call normal Jews, I was talking about this on stage the other night. I was trying to fuck around with this. It's I feel like if anyone's got to be pissed at the Hasidic Jews right now, it's got to be the regular Jews who are just trying to go about going about their life, and not be accused of having fucking, networks of tunnels under their synagogues. And then they see these crazy Hasids doing this shit. They're like, God, fuck, come on, really? Really? You're fucking sandbagging us here. This is horrible PR. What are you guys doing? Jesus. Are we going to have to put you guys in line? It's if you think that those guys are ruling the world, bro, those guys in that synagogue in some little network in Brooklyn, dude, you're nuts. You're fucking nuts, dude. Those guys those guys don't know who Oprah is. They're not, maybe they're living better lives because of it, by the way. I actually think if you're just in one of those networks, your life is so simple and it doesn't take much to fulfill you. It really doesn't. You're just I got God, I got my wife, I got my rules, and I make a little money. That's it. I really do wonder what they're like, the Hasidic Jews in particular. I say that as though it's not possible to find out. I really don't know how easy it would be, though. A lot of them actually only speak Yiddish. Some of them speak English. I think a chunk of them do. But they're very skeptical, with with good with good reason, you know? Fucking, you know, people just making rules saying you can't go to synagogue anymore, you know? Yeah, they're going to build tunnels. That's how it works, you know? They're like, well, we have this thing we need to do. There's, you know, the devil is in the world, and we cannot trust other people out there because they are not us. They're you know, they are very insular. It's just an insular community doing. Listen, man, if anyone's gonna do weird Jewish shit, it's the Hasidic Jews. It's what they do. It's what they do. They're just being bros, dude. You guys see the footage, dude, of these guys in the synagogue? Just all the bros, like just with their phones out, kicking up a shitstorm, just making, it's like a flock of Jews, a flock of Hasidic Jews, dude. Just going, blah, 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 blah. Not even sure what they're saying. They're just kind of all muttering weird noises. My buddy sent me a video of this one like New York Italian cop with his arms crossed, saying, we're going to shut down the shul. We're going to shut down the shul. That's what we're doing. That's the plan. Just sit tight. We're shutting down the shul. The shul being the synagogue. Like using the proper, you know, terminology. I don't know, bro. I got a lot of Jewish friends, and they're making it real hard for me. Some of their people are making it real hard to fucking keep coming to their defense. Just from a PR standpoint. I don't believe that anything weird was going on, but it's like, fuck, man. I can't. You guys got to get your own people in check so that I don't have to keep coming to your defense. Because I mean, I will still keep doing it, but I don't want to have to look stupid doing it. You know, you guys kind of have to get your house in order. You guys kind of, there got to be like a little internal meeting, you know. It's like, listen, I know we don't all see eye to eye, you know, the Orthodox and the Hasidic and the Reform, but we need to kind of get a few things straight here. We got to do a better job on the PR front here. You know, we got to flip the script a little bit. Anyway, well, this was fun. Listeners, if you're just tuning in for the first time, in the unlikely event that you've made it an hour in, that you're tuning in for the first time, please subscribe, toss a like on the video. And if you're just listening, subscribe and rate it 5 stars. That helps us out very much. I'm Sam Adamo. Hope you guys enjoyed this solo pod. Dilo should be back on the pod next week. Looking forward to that. Till next time, alla prossima. Ciao.